my name is Magdalena. Welcome to my channel. I have kind of a cool little idea that I thought I would do. So I asked my partner to go through my single shadows collection and pick out a palette's worth of shadows that he thinks I really like. So they're all here. These are the ones that he picked. And I'm going to go through them, talk about them a bit, say whether or not I like them, whether or not it's something that, he's right that I like, whether it's something I would repurchase, whether it's something that, I'm not super thrilled that I had, or something that maybe just didn't really work great for me. And then at the end, I thought I would do like a little ranking just really quick to show which ones are my favorites. So if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned. The first shadow that he picked is Lethal Singularity. This one is definitely a hit. I love these kind of grungy purple shadows. Next, he picked Lethal Parsec. I do love this shadow, but it's very similar to Shine by SD Unexpected and Cleona Oriole, which I tend to prefer the formulas of more. So this is kind of a win, kind of a miss. Color-wise, a win though. The next shadow that he chose is Shine by SD Indulge. Obviously, this is a win for me. I love iridescence, and this is one of my favorite kinds of iridescence. I love the pink, peach, gold, green, teal iridescent family. So yeah, this one's definitely a win. The next shadow he chose is Lethal Genesis. Now, this is a dupe for, I believe, Terra Moon's The Cosmos, but is significantly less chunky. It's definitely a win. I love this shadow. And can you tell that I think he took the Lethal palette to look through first? The next shadow he chose was Shine by SD Dreamcatcher. Now this is a huge win, and he's so spot on with this. So I have this in a palette right next to Revenge, and most people, Revenge is their favorite. However, I actually prefer Dreamcatcher. I'll have to do a video at some point that shows them side by side, but this one has just a little bit more interesting sparkle to it. The shifts are pretty much the same. It just has that extra sparkle that I think makes this one a little bit more special. So good job, babe. I love this one. Great pick. Next, he picked Shine by SD Crown Flash, and I suspect he probably went into my Shine by SD palette after my Lethal palette. So this is a huge win. I love this shadow. It's probably my most worn shadow. It's just the perfect, light, sparkly, everyday, universally flattering shadow. Absolutely love it. Huge win. The next shadow he chose is Pioneer from Lethal. I do like this one. I would say it's probably one of my more commonly used shades that I don't really think about as a favorite, but I do wear it quite a bit and I do like it, so this is definitely a win. The next shade that he chose is Cleona Gleam, and this is a definite win. If you've been in my channel before, I love purple iridescence. I was actually getting a little bit disheartened that one hadn't come up yet, so I'm really glad there's one here. I was kind of questioning the relationship, but yep, okay, it's good. He knows me, purple iridescent, all good. The next shadow he chose is Cleona Crystalline. I was kind of torn about this one. I kind of forget about these Cleona shadows. They're their standard shadows. This is just a standard metallic duochrome. It is a really nice formula, and I do love the colors. I just don't really think of it very much because there's so many super sparkly, super high impact shadows that I have. But I do like this one, and I think I'm going to call this a win because it is gorgeous, and it's one I forget about, but I do really like it, and I do really love to layer something sparkly on it. So we'll call this a win, and we'll thank him for bringing it to my attention again and trying to remind myself to use it more. The next shadow he chose is another one of the Cleona standard size duochromes. This is Amulet, and this is a pretty big miss. I don't really like this one. I don't even know why I kept it. I mean, I think it's beautiful. I think it's one of those shadows that just, it's beautiful on other people, and I want it to be beautiful on me, but it's got too warm of an undertone, and it doesn't work for me. Next up, he chose Cleona Emblem, and here is some redemption. I love this shadow. This is my summer shadow. I'm sure he recognized this. I wore it all summer. I love this entire collection. The electric multichromes are so beautiful. I love a pastel shadow. Super high impact, gorgeous. Absolutely love this one. Definitely a win. Next up, he chose Diatreme from Shine by SD. This is definitely a win. This is probably my favorite red in my collection. There's something about the more grayed out base that just makes it, I don't know, it's soft, but it's bright. It's like neon in the fog or something. I don't know. I love it. Absolutely love this shadow. Definitely a win. The next one he chose is Davina Sprinkle Whips, and this is definitely a win. This is my kind of shadow. It's sheer, it's sparkly, it's blurple. What more can I say? I love it. Next, he chose Davina Pink Flare, and similar to the last one, this is just a very me shadow. It's very sparkly, it's got that soft pink to it, it's got the silver. It's just my kind of shadow. Definitely a win. The next shadow he chose is Cleona Mural, and this is kind of a surprise, I bet, for some people, but this is a lose. This is a miss. I respect the shadow. I think it's very beautiful shadow, but it doesn't flatter me. It's too warm toned, and I don't really love green bases to begin with. I find that they just blend out to something that looks kind of bruisey on me, especially if they have that cool green base. So I'm willing to put up with it with certain shadows, but not with this one, not with how flattering that orange is on me. So no, this one is a miss. And the last shadow he chose was Cleona Palace. This is definitely a win. I love this shadow. However, I will say of this collection, I prefer Baroque. Okay, so now I'm going to rank them and place them into three categories. The first category will be shades that I absolutely love, complete hits. I would definitely repurchase these. The second category will be shades that I like, I enjoy having them, but I probably wouldn't run out and replace them. And the third category are the misses, the ones that I'm definitely not going to replace, don't really care about. First up in the first category is Cleona Gleam. Then it's Shine by SD Crown Flash, followed by Lethal Singularity and Shine by SD Diatreme. Then Davina Sprinkle Whips, Cleona Palace, and lastly Davina Pink Flare. Starting off category 2 is Lethal Genesis, followed by Shine by SD Indulge and Lethal Parsec. Then Shine by SD Dreamcatcher and Cleona Emblem, followed by Cleona Crystalline, and lastly Lethal Pioneer. And the two shades in the last group are Cleona Mural and Cleona Amulet. Okay, so that's the end. Thank you very much for watching. And I'd love to know in the comments, what do you think? Do you think that these kind of shadows, represent me and are what I tend to like? And do you think the people in your life would be good at guessing the kind of shadows that you would like?